So hey guys, I am out here today and I want to make a video today about business and sales. So I've been in business for 1.5 years now, a marketing agency, and I think one of the biggest challenges so far has been staying consistent with my cold calls. And even I am someone who I can do a lot of cold calls and I can be consistent for weeks and months. But then sometimes something happens where I lose motivation, or sometimes not even that. Sometimes I actually sign a couple of clients and then I start focusing more on that. And even though I know I should be doing still the cold calls, I kind of lose track there. So it's something really I need to improve is consistency, because I think that's really the important part. If you want to make a business successful, so I think that's one of the biggest things that's been holding me back. And then also communicate knowledge to some extent, but I think it's a lot of communication skills if you want to do a marketing agency. Because people think marketing agency is going to be all about sitting back, finding out theories and strategy of writing copy and things like that. I'm sure that sometimes that's part of it, but especially in the early stages, and especially if you work with local businesses and contractors or med spas, anything that's local, you're gonna have to do a lot of sales and communication. Even the ads, sure, it's still part of it. Marketing is still part of it, but even in getting good results for the clients, it often comes down to having good appointment setting, and then that's a lot of calling up their clients when they're interested. And you could say I'm not going to do that. You could say I'm going to let my client just call all the leads. But then the problem is you're going to have to manage that. And obviously that's something quite difficult, because most local business owners, they don't always want to call the leads. And even those who do, they might have the skills. And so I think it's better if you learn to do that yourself. And eventually if you can have a team. But yeah, it's not, it's different than cold calling. It's a different skill, because you need to know the offer of your client, first of all, but then also it's a different way of actually setting, because in the appointment setting you need to do more scanning for pain. It's a lot more like a sales meeting than a cold call. A cold call is more where you do go hunter mode a little bit, I would say, because you're not necessarily really being very consultative. You're just asking for their time and seeing if they're interested in that. You're not really selling them on a cold call. You're just setting a meeting with them. But in the appointment setting, it's different, because it's inbound leads, and then we have to qualify them more, because the more we can do that, the more chance we have that, first of all, they're going to show up, but secondly also that they are going to close better when your client goes there, when they get to our client. So it's quite a different skill that you need to learn as well. And everything is communication. The cold calling, the appointment setting, the sales meetings, and then once you learn how to close, now you have your client, you're gonna need to do service delivery, right? And the service delivery, it's often over created in terms of the marketing strategies that you need for it. The most difficult part is managing the client and doing the appointment setting and the sales coaching sometimes for them. Those are the most difficult part. And obviously you still need to get good leads. You still need to have a good strategy in place for the marketing. But honestly, that's 10, maybe 20% of the game. Most of it is really just managing people and selling and setting appointments and making deals. And I'm not just saying this because some people then tend to go too much into sales mode where they like try to take a bunch of clients on all at once, and sometimes it can be like a thing you can do, but you wanna have like a good retention strategy in place as well, because the better look that's going to be the best for your business in the long term. It's better to have, it's better to sign 3 clients that you can keep for 6 months than like signing 8 clients and you only keep them like 1 month each, or like even like 2 months. Like that's not going to be a good thing, because your clients are not going to be happy, and you're going to lose motivation as well, because you're not going to see your clients get good results, and then it's going to come through in your sales meetings because you don't feel confident in your offer. So like really, that's the mistake I made in the beginning when I started. Like when I went too much into sales mode, and then I took on a bunch of clients at once. And even though I think you probably should do that, but then you need to be able to like switch into, okay, now I really got to make sure I get results from my clients, because that's the way you're going to grow, man. That's the way you're going to grow it. You're not going to grow by just signing deals, right? And like there's a little bit of like a contradiction or like a paradox somewhere in there, because in order to get results for your clients, you're going to need to be good at sales. You're going to need to be good at communication. But you just got to do it the right way. I guess that's the key. You got to do it the right way, because, if you do too much on the front end, you're not going to have the back end handled. So yeah, I would say that's very important. So another thing we can talk about is, I would say, like the importance of coaching, like having like a good coach, investing in courses to an extent. I think it's something that can really help you out. I feel like it helps me out, because you learn from people who are like ahead of you, and you learn from people who know more about you, and it feels like you're not just learning information, but you're also actually learning like things. So like I would say, you're also actually learning to connect with people who are ahead of you in the game, and that's going to give you more confidence as well. But then there's also the mistake you can make, that you can like sometimes over rely on like coaching, or like over invest, because you should like invest in it, but you shouldn't like over invest in it either. And like your first priority should be yourself and your own business, and then take the courses and the coaches as like a form of support, because that's what they are. That's their purpose. So don't make frantic decisions when it comes to coaching. But you should probably find a good course for what you're trying to do, and then enroll in it, because it's going to make things better for you. I would say don't expect results in like the first months, and maybe not even in the first year, unless you are someone who's already experienced. And I'm not someone who says like, I don't think you should do it slow. I think you should go fast. I think you should go get after it. But even though I think you should get after it, I think you should also be like realistic. Like you can try to reach high, and you should probably reach high, but then also know that, what you can do is you can do what you can, and you can make the best of it, and you can try to do more, but it doesn't necessarily always mean that you're gonna get there. So just learn, and just go. So yeah, that's what I would say. So I think that's really what I would say. Like when you want to start a business, a marketing agency, you got to be really good at communication, and then invest in courses. and Destiny coaches. But like, don't see them as like a way for it to save you. You're still the one that needs to do the work. It's just that, you know, if you find a good mentor, then you can learn from them. And even if you don't find a perfect mentor, which in my case, I haven't found a perfect mentor, but I still learned from my mentors along the way, and I still appreciate that. But yeah, at the end of the day, you gotta keep grinding. You gotta be consistent, and you gotta fight every day, because it's not just a thing where you try for 3 months, give it your full potential, and then stop, because you're not gonna get anywhere like that. You need to have the vision of at least 3 years, I would say, unless you're maybe, unless you think you can do it faster, which I would say like try it. But yeah, I think you should have like at least a vision of 3 years where you like really fight for it, and then like in the long term. And I think in 3 years, by the way, I think in 3 years, if you do fight for it and if you don't give up, I do think you can get somewhere. So I'm about 1.5 years in right now, and I haven't reached anything significant yet, but I am improving. I have gotten some results, and I think like the more you just do it, eventually the more stable and the more results you're gonna get. So I think if I can learn from my mistakes, if I can keep growing, and if I can keep fighting, I know I'm gonna keep improving, but like I need to get there. And I need to find a way to keep fighting every day while being consistent. And I think that's what's going to help us improve ourselves.